Tara Reade tells her story to Megyn Kelly. I reported on this story yesterday. I think I did a pretty good job of laying out what I believe are the most important points that we had at the time. But now there's a whole full 40-minute interview where you get the whole story of Tara Reade. You learn about her upbringing. She was born on a farm, 8 acres of land. You learned about her relationships, her matriculation through positions that she held. You learn about how this event damaged her life, how it impacted her personally on all types of levels. You learned about not just what happened step by step, but how it made her feel. And Megyn Kelly does a good job with this interview of asking good questions, and very interesting. And there are some takeaways from this. The major takeaways are that Tara Reade is a very coherent witness. This is not good for those people who think they can just pan this story. Tara Reade does not seem disheveled. She does not seem scatterbrained. She does not seem the least bit fuzzy. She's very lucid and very sharp. Okay, so anyone who has illusions that this is a woman just bellowing things out, that she doesn't know what she's talking about, you haven't sat down and listened to her talk. Tara Reade seems very intelligent, and she's very much under much control as she speaks. Not easily flustered. All the things they like to discredit women with. She's so emotional. You know, she was a tad bit emotional, but for the most part, she's such a professional. She just breezes through the interview, gives good answers, substantive answers, and it's just straight to the point. So I just want to reiterate how strong a witness she is. Another takeaway from this interview, Tara Reade agreed to do several things that give me the impression that she is very much credible. One of them is she's willing to swear under oath. Everything that she's saying, she's willing to go under oath. The other thing is she's also willing to take a polygraph. She said she doesn't like the idea of the victim having to take a polygraph while the accuser does it. But if Joe Biden will take one, sure, she'll take one. They can both do one together, and we can get to the bottom of this. Now, I don't know where you come from. I know where I come from. And where I come from, people who are making up stories don't want to talk about polygraphs. So that helps her credibility as well. Very strong interview, very strong, very detailed analysis, great breakdown. But I do have to say a couple of things, guys. A couple of things I got to say. First of all, because there's been some commotion about why did Tara Reade go on Megyn Kelly's show? Why did she sit down with Megyn Kelly? Why? Well, my first message is to those in corporate media who ask these questions. Where were you? Where were you, corporate media people, when she was telling her story? When she was out here, after she went on the Katie Halper story and the story broke, where were you? Where were the invitations for her to come on your platform, MSNBC? MSNBC waited until they could get word from Joe Biden before they invited Joe Biden, gave them the permission to ask him questions. Nobody was running up asking Joe Biden anything. But Tara Reade was willing and able and hoping that she would have a forum to discuss her situation. And they didn't ask her. They didn't talk to her. They did not invite her on. CNN didn't invite her on. CBS didn't invite her on. So she ended up with Katie Halper. Then she ended up on The Rising. She ended up on The Intercept, obviously. This is with Ryan Graham. This is what happened. So you can't come late to the party and say, hey, why didn't you come party with us? Or you can't be upset when you didn't invite her. Hey, you didn't come over to the party. Well, you didn't send me an invitation. What am I supposed to do, just break up in your office and demand that you interview me? You didn't ask. So now that she's went and sat down with Megyn Kelly, now there's an issue. Now you want to make this super political. And another thing, Tara Reade could have went and sat down with Fox News. She chose not to. Now, based on what I've been hearing, Tara Reade did not want to make this overly politicized. She didn't want people to just pan it and say, she liked Trump. That's why she on Fox News. So that's why she went on Fox News. So let's just get rid of it. So she was trying to avoid that. So that's where I stand, and that's what the facts point out. based on what I've been able to uncover and what I've been reading, what I've been consuming regarding Tara Reade and her Megyn Kelly appearance. And that's the corporate media and those people who will make allegations that she didn't have a right, that Tara Reade didn't have a right, or she shouldn't have, or some crap that Joan Washington or Tandon and these people, the people on The View or whoever they are, that want to discredit Tara Reade as if she isn't able to go wherever she wants to have this conversation. Now, the other thing I like to point out, and look, guys, I'm reticent to do this because I really don't want to do this, but I must point this out because this is the Tim Black Show. Some people have covered that Tara Reade went on Megyn Kelly, and they made it seem like Megyn Kelly, a fighter for women and a defender of all things, and she's a great journalist, and she may be a defender of women, I don't know, and she may be good at her job. She seems competent in talking into a teleprompter, okay? But the bottom line is there are a lot of problems with Megyn Kelly.
There was a controversy on The Real Housewives of New York with Luann, as she dresses Diana Ross, and she made her skin look darker than it really is, and people said that that was racist. And I don't know, I thought, like, who doesn't love Diana Ross? She wants to look like Diana Ross for one day. I don't know how, like, that got racist on Halloween.
She appeared to be offering a defense or an explanation for the use of blackface in Halloween costumes.
But what is racist? Because truly, you do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a...
Led to a bit of an outrage within NBC News and among the audience.
While she apologized to the staff, she owes a bigger apology to folks of color around the country.
Megyn Kelly is, of course, no stranger to controversial remarks about race. When she was at Fox News, Megyn Kelly made remarks that were often criticized for being insensitive towards blacks.
And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know,
she's the one who coined the phrase Cupcake Nation. Long before there were snowflakes, there were cupcakes.
And I do not like the fact that people are trying to whitewash Megyn Kelly's track record.
Of course, Megyn was a relative short-timer at NBC. She really made her career at Fox News, where one of her first big breaks actually came in her skeptical reporting of the Duke lacrosse rape allegations, which did turn out to be false. Her tenure was both successful and at times controversial. Liberals, of course, hated her for a segment she did on whether Santa Claus was white, and, well, they hated her because she was on Fox.
It's not just that Megyn Kelly has worked for Fox for a long period of time. If you're gonna go on a diatribe about defending Megyn Kelly, let me remind you of who you're throwing under the bus while you defend her. All us black people. Yeah, you're not just throwing liberals under the bus. I could care less if you throw liberals under the bus. I throw liberals under the bus. Megyn Kelly has disrespected, discredited, and treated like dog shit black people from day one. She has weaponized race every step of the way throughout her career, and you give her a pass.
If you want a softball interview, is Megyn Kelly the person you sit with?
No.
No. Yeah. Megyn doesn't let anyone off the hook. Like, whatever you think of her, and she's pissed off everybody across the ideological spectrum at this point. You don't sit with Megyn Kelly because you want a softball interview. It's a ridiculous idea.
That's why I've always loved her journalism, her interviews. She never let anybody off the hook, always was deeply skeptical. And
you have the audacity not even to mention the rude remarks that she has made that has offended large swaths of the black community, that she did on purpose for ratings. The reason why she has such a problem with Donald Trump, because in a large measure, Megyn Kelly has been Donald Trump. I find it highly dysfunctional for you to pretend that Megyn Kelly is a friend. She is not a friend. Now, she may be a friend to you.
Now, Megyn was one of the first anchors to ever put me on air, and I can tell you that powerless is about the last word that comes to mind to describe her.
But she's not a friend of us. Now, no, and I'm not just talking about the Santa is white. I'm talking about the Jesus is white, the Santa is white, and blackface is cool. What about that shit? Now, I don't know what bubble you live in, but that would be something you kind of want to throw in the mix when we talk about the legacy of Megyn Kelly. Denying that racism exists on any level other than superficiality. Megyn Kelly has made it a career. It has been a career builder for her to ignite and gaslight black people for a decade. And when you talk about her and do not speak that very easily researched, very obvious reality, you know what you do? You run the risk of losing your black audience, though it may be tiny and anorexic. You run the risk of losing them. Now, don't call me the bad guy for telling you the truth. The reality is this is her legacy. This is what has brought Megyn Kelly to where she is. For goodness sakes, she had to have an intervention on why it's not cool to wear blackface and why would you defend such nonsense. Krystal Ball. Saga. But I have a problem with it. And you know, the other thing about it, one thing I detest, I really do. See, I'll cover Tara Reade's story. I'm not a white woman, but I'll cover that story. You know why? Because I'm out for justice and peace. I'm out for truth, getting to the truth no matter where it leads us. You got to tell the truth no matter who it offends or who it excites or who it benefits. The truth is the truth. And that's what I would expect of you, to leave your career aspirations, your political affiliations all behind and deal with the thing that it is. I do that with Tara Reade the same way I did with Blasey Ford, the same way I'm doing now with Megyn Kelly. I can say she did a good job of interviewing Tara Reade. It was a very informative interview, but at the same time, I could point out how she treated D.L. Hughley.
Mark Furman police that also had to be taken over by the federal government.
It's very dangerous when you get to the point where you paint with an entire group with the same brush based on the bad actions of a few.
That is amazing to hear on this network. That really is. That really is amazing to hear on this network. The only place racism.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Also tonight,
I'm disappointed, emphatically disappointed. And on the same token, I can still point out that you've done good work. I enjoy your monologues, but the next time you do a monologue and you gloss over the background of someone as despicable, obviously flawed, the least you could do is call it out, or you should end your dialogue. And that's what's on my radar. All right, now we can go to phone calls. But first, we're going to go to a commercial. My guest today, Dr. Cornel West. Thank you, Mr. West, for being here.
My brother, I'm just so blessed to be in conversation with you. I want to salute you. You are a force for good in a mighty way, my brother. You remind me of William Monroe Trotter, that great black radical, cutting against the grain, telling the truth, seeking justice, willing to get in trouble, be in the middle of controversy, but always grounded in quest for truth and justice, man. So I salute you, man.
Thank you, Dr. West. By popular demand, Johnson is here.